welcome to the Kiwimana Buzz.
Hi everyone, this is the 8th podcast from the team at Kiwimana HQ. This month we discuss neonicotinoids, New Zealand honey fouling tests, and alternative varroa treatments. Take it away, Margaret.
Hi everyone. Well, it's been a pretty busy month over here in New Zealand in the apiary and through our beekeeping. Been blogging about neonicotinoids, honey tests in New Zealand for our honey, and blogging about the wonderful camera work on the tails from the hive. Amazing photography in there, and we've had a lot of positive feedback from that. We've also been busy attending a National Beekeepers Association of New Zealand workshop down in Hamilton, so we took the day off to go and attend to that. The workshop was about varroa resistance and how an integrated pest management program is the way forward, and organics, but we'll go into that a little bit more. In the apiary, I've been busy working on treatments, and we've done an oxalic drip over the bees, so that's slowly happening, and we're checking the results from that. We had a hive that we lost, and we're monitoring one of the hives which has a really low mite count, which is good, but we're just watching that with interest, really. We've noticed there's brood present, and we've noticed a bit of a change in the temperature, but lots of rain as well here in Auckland. So the other things we've been looking at is we went to the Franklin Bee Club and we did some demonstrations of the Kiwimana mesh board with an inspection tray, and we got some sales from that, so we were very pleased because we know that this product works really well, especially in the fight against the varroa. And we had a guest blog. Gary will go into that a bit more. Going forward in the next month, we're trying out a new wasp guard that we saw on the internet. And I'm working on a project to do a local board presentation, which is our local boards represent ratepayers and everything in our area. So we want to talk to them about swarm control and how they can help us get connected quicker to the public so we can do a quick response. The counts I've been doing, well, we're looking at another treatment in the apiary for that. What else we've been up to? Preparations for the season coming up is also part of our plans going forward, and we've already had some requests for people to come and join us on our swarm collections, so that's going to be interesting so that new beekeepers can observe. Other concern that we've got on the apiary that we're looking into over this next month is the fact that they are eating a lot of the honey that we've left in the hive for them. So we might have to look at giving them a feed, and we've got more orders for our Kiwimana mesh boards, so we're going to carry on them. And over the new season, we're preparing to do splits of the hives and look into some more information on New Zealand native plants, and how we can companion plant with some of the exotics that the bees need. But that's something we'll be working on. I just wanted to go back to the integrated pest management program. One of the comments that really struck me at the workshop was that Mark Goodwin said that we could no longer trust synthetic treatments. So on our blog, we've said the basics are that you alternate different types of treatments because the synthetic treatments are not working, so you need to go to have a look at organic acids like thymol and oxalis. And he's saying treat regularly, which is something that we've been doing at Kiwimana. We treat every 3 months regardless of how things are going. We do inspections, and with the Kiwimana mesh board, we can just put the inspection boards in any time. They're so easy to put in, and we just do our natural mite falls, and then we do just regular counting of how many mites are in the hive. He recommends retreating if it's unsuccessful, so that's a really key thing. And his recommendations were that we do some drone trapping and mesh boards. So we have products that we created last season to deal with that, and they're called the Kiwimana drone management frame, which has an area at the top where they can just do their usual honey stores, and then at the bottom they can make comb for drones. So what you can do is take that out off the frame and remove those drone combs from drone brood from there. Our Kiwimana mesh board is a great product that we use for doing the treatments as well. You can close them up, but have that air for any other time. We'll be continuing with monitoring. That's one of the other things that you really need to do as a beekeeper. You need to monitor your hives. Go and have a look and see what's happening outside. Have a look what's happening inside, and just keep an eye on them. You'll see if a hive's busy or not. You'll see if they're getting attacked by wasps, that kind of thing. All right, well, how's it going with you, Gary?
Yeah, good, Margaret. We've been working on the new website that's coming along quite soon, and been working on building screen bottom boards, but unfortunately our table saw blew up this morning, didn't it? So it sort of stopped production a bit, so I've got to find out about what's wrong with that. It looks like the electric motor's is trapping the fuses, so that's a bit of a bummer.
Yeah, not helpful.
No, not at all. So we're going to try and sort that out. What else have we been doing? Basically trying to build a new website, so hopefully we'll get that up and running, hopefully before Bee Week, which is coming up in August, isn't it?
Yeah, the Bee Week on the National Beekeepers Association, they state it's from the 20th of August to the 24th, and I spoke to someone from there last week, and they said they're now getting in touch with the media and starting to put some things in place to advertise that, so that's good news.
Yeah, I had an inquiry from someone from the Botanic Gardens about can they put bees there temporarily, so hopefully we'll hear some more about that next week. But we'll find out.
Yeah, that'll be good. I think that they really do need bees around there, because if we can get the public engaged with bees and flowers and how the two can go together, if they don't want to have bees, they could at least have flowers. So, yeah, that'll be great.
Yeah, I mean, with the fact that the Botanic Garden's got so many exotic plants, it would be a fantastic place to have some bees, wouldn't it?
I agree.
I'm quite surprised they don't already have any, to be honest.
Indeed.
But maybe we can organise that. Because, I mean, we do drive past it when we go to the Franklin Bee Club, don't we?
Yeah, we do.
So so should we go into the news this week?
Yep.
Okay, well, the first topic is this bit of a bombshell for New Zealand beekeepers with there's a recent outbreak of PSA virus within the kiwi fruit industry, and it's been discovered that the virus actually came from some imported pollen, and they've done some DNA tests on the pollen, and it apparently came from China originally, and the farms near where the pollen was released or used have got the PSA, were the first people to get the PSA virus. So I think the biggest thing about the beekeepers are thinking is, what if this pollen had a bee virus in it and it was imported into the country and it's going to bypass the biosecurity laws. So there's a few people a bit annoyed about that, which isn't great, is it, Margaret? What do you think?
Well, it was interesting at the NBA workshop that they were talking, one of the political guys was talking about that they were looking into the importation of Australian honey.
Oh, that was Paul Bolger, was it?
Yeah, and I think that the thing that alarmed me about some of the comments he made was that they're saying that they want to basically boil up that honey so it doesn't bring any pests in. And I was just thinking to myself, that doesn't sound like the honey's going to be much work, not worth a lot and not very nutritious if they have to, like, fry it before it comes in. So
yeah, what did you
doesn't
say?
add up.
180 degrees to kill some spores of AFB or something.
Yeah, and I think if there's spores in their honey, they just shouldn't be allowed to bring it in. And New Zealand honey is the best honey in the world, and we've got, luckily, the Manuka and Kānuka factors, which make it extremely good for health and well-being. And, they even use it on gauze in hospitals now. So it defies me why they're even thinking about bringing flaming Aussie stuff in.
Well, I mean, our Australian listeners might not appreciate that comment, but yeah, I mean, I don't understand why
they
we're
don't
doing
want
it.
our apples.
No.
So, we have Australian oranges. We have a lot of Australian food coming in.
We have a lot of Australian television too.
Yeah, the Castle, fantastic. How's the Serenity?
So much serenity, but no, I mean, I don't understand why we need to import honey. We've got enough here. I mean, if they need more, I can supply some, can't we? I mean,
I think basically my view is that because our honey is very unique and has the factors that make it one of the best in the world, it is claimed to be the best in the world. I don't think we should take any risk on harming that by allowing other honeys in. And I think that's a real key driver for my position, because I think that if they bring in this virus from China on pollen, people just don't understand the risks that they're taking when they bring things like that into New Zealand, because we're very clean and green, and our ecosystem just can't handle that kind of risk.
no, definitely not.
At least that's my opinion.
Oh no, I think that's great. And speaking of our opinion, we've got another story that we've put a blog post about neonicotinoids available at garden centres. Speaking about risks to bees, there's some well-known products by the company in New Zealand called Yates, which actually have the neonicotinoid, is it ibuprofen or something? If you read the blog post, I've got a lot of technical words on.
Imidacloprid.
Yeah, that's it. I can't say those words, but I mean, why are we bringing that in? It's just crazy. It's it's been banned in a few countries in Europe. It's why do we need that kind of risk here? I mean, and this been linked to the cause of CCD. I can't understand why that's brought in here either. So just make people aware of that.
I think a lot of the research that we've read through overseas studies and lots of varying and different places we've sourced information from is that it's proving that this neonicotinoid product is appearing to poison the ground as well. And I think the thing is that what we want here in New Zealand, or are there better ways for us to manage weed control? So I think that there are more natural products that don't stay. They become inert after they've been used within 48 hours, and I think that's the kind of product that you want. You don't want ones that are going to sit in the soil for 19 or 20 years.
No, absolutely. And they've proven that stuff actually can, if it seeps into the waterways, it actually kills fish.
Yeah, I mean, that's the research that we've read. And because we aren't living in a monoculture type situation where we live in the bush and in native bush, and it's a unique ecosystem. So we can't just go around willy-nilly spraying everything. And if we had to use any kind of product, we would try to stick to something that isn't going to cause that kind of harm. And we don't spray most of the time because it's just not good for our bees. So we just don't do it. And our very weedy garden proves it.
Exactly. I mean, the thing is, some of the weeds are actually good for the bees. Like, gorse is a perfect example. And the yellow flowers of the gorse provide a great source of pollen for the young bees.
Yeah, I think that with where we live, there is an environment here where the exotics are classed as pests. So we're still working on trying to find a balance between having exotics for the bees without harming the invasive nature of those exotics with our native bush, because when they start suffocating the new seedlings for the new native growth, it just makes the land bare. So we can't really risk that here. So we have to plant very carefully.
Yep, that's true. The next item is Penn State in America has actually got a online beekeeping course which you can do by correspondence. So that's great news, isn't it, for urban beekeepers? They could give that a go. We haven't done it ourselves, but it's like an online course you can do and get a qualification. I don't know. I wonder how relevant that would be to New Zealanders, but judging that it was created in America, I guess it's fairly similar.
I don't know anything about it, but I'm just on the face of it. My opinion would be, I think it's really hard to learn about bees if you're not actually with them.
Yeah,
I mean, how do you really know?
Better hands-on, you reckon? It's hard to do hands-on across the internet, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so. And I think that if you're getting a qualification, what does that mean? Does that mean that you can go out and do the work, but you can't apply anything? That's what I would be concerned about.
Well, I guess the theory you can learn online and from books, can't you? And like the biology of bees, things like that.
Well, I mean, from my own personal experience is that I've read books too, and I've listened to lots of things that are going on the internet and in some of the books, But I think the best way to learn really is to get out there, go to clubs, be part of those clubs, learn from older beekeepers. They've got a lot of knowledge there that they can share. You can ask them lots of questions. And you can, develop your affinity with the bees. And I think one of the things that I do is I observe a lot of the things that are going on, and I've learned a lot from that in itself.
Yeah, you can certainly learn a lot by sitting there and watching your bees, can't you? I mean, today we were watching the bees, weren't we? They were trying to navigate the new robbing share we've built, and we were watching them through the binoculars, weren't we?
Yeah, I put the wasp guard on one of the hives today, and the bees this morning were kind of like trying to get into the hive from underneath and everything like that. It was really fascinating. I did a little bit of a movie on it. But then when I went back this afternoon to have a look, they were actually flying over the mesh and into the hive, which was fantastic. And the wasps were, I didn't see any wasps. So that was the yellow jackets, as it were.
Oh, that's a great idea. And that idea actually came from the BK Corner podcast from Kevin in New Jersey. So thanks, Kevin, for that idea. It was a great idea, and we're going to give it a go.
Yep, we're going to field test that and see how our wasps and our bees respond to that, and we'll keep you posted on that one.
Absolutely. And more New Zealand industry news is that some of our honey is actually failing at borders across in of all places, China.
I think that's that statement is a bit.
What statement?
That statement about it failing at the borders. The issue that was raised at the NBA was that they were talking about how the honey test itself has been set up, and they reckon it's false readings that are saying that. So that statement that you've made is quite, emotive, because it's how the test has been set up that is the reaction to the test. So,
well, yeah, they're saying that the actual test is flawed, isn't it? And it's picking up that our honey's got more sugar in than nectar.
Yeah.
But they claiming that the story is that the test is wrong, and the honey is okay. So they're working on that, aren't they? Who was talking about the NBA thing? It was
Front. Was it?
Was it Front? I think it was Barry. No, it was Paul Bolger, wasn't it? He was talking about the testing. So, hopefully we'll hear some more about that soon.
Because that's a political thing, and I mean, not that I'm a conspiracy theorist or anything, but if the test reads false, then it actually creates quite a ripple effect around the world to say and to make our honey look like it's not worthy, or that it's full of sugar and it's not real honey. So that's a real concern, because the Manuka honey itself does show significant sugar levels, but it's got the health factors in there. So those what we would class as false readings are still being negotiated on a political level, from what I understand from the NBA conference.
Yeah, well, let's hope that gets sorted out, because there's been a couple of shipments that have failed the test, and they're sitting. I'm not sure what they're doing, if they get sent back or whatever, but it's not good for the honey producers in New Zealand, is it?
Well, I think that they have to get that sorted out pretty quickly, because it's discrediting our honey, and that is just absolutely appalling that they're allowing it to go ahead. The political arm needs to start standing up and defending the honey industry here in New Zealand, because we work very hard to provide a quality product.
Yeah, I mean, one thing that Paul Bolger thing kind of showed me is that the government I don't think they really support beekeepers. What do you think? I mean, it just seems a bit, don't really care.
Paul Bolger actually said that from what he understands, there is the political system or the government don't have a position on bees.
Yeah.
So I guess make of that what you will.
And a bit more local news. This week, Margaret's been treating the bees with oxalic acid that we obtained from the Auckland Bee Club. So, how did that go, Margaret? And what did you think? How that went?
Well, I found it was good in the sense that it was all pre-mixed, so I didn't have to deal with any toxic or harmful powder residue and mix it all up. So that was really cool, because one of the guys at the Auckland Bee Club actually pre-mixes it. So they're in applicator bottles, which is very handy. Dripping it on the bees, I wasn't so sure about. It seems to have been successful in that sense, but I mean, we lost a hive, so it was a couple of weeks. I think it was about a week or so, or 2 weeks after treatment, so I don't know whether that has anything to do with it. Who knows? The other ones seem okay, and I'm thinking that there was a marked increase in mite levels, and now that those levels are reduced, so it has done some good, but I'm thinking that because the counts were quite high, we have to do another treatment.
So what you mean, after you did the treatment, a lot of mites were on the inspection trays? Is that what you mean?
Yeah, because on 5 of the hives, I didn't do a natural mite fall count before.
Yeah.
I just didn't have time, and the weather had been so bad I didn't get a chance, but I knew they had to be treated.
That's the problem at the moment, isn't it? The weather's so rainy that it's hard to find days that we can actually open the hives. I've been trying to fit them in when I can and when the temperatures are a lot higher. So, yeah. Yeah, the next topic is we went down to the NBA conference. I think we've probably discussed that quite a lot already, haven't we? And we've got, 4 podcasts about that?
Yeah, it was really cool because we did get permission from Daniel Paul to record, which was really good, and we really hope that all our beekeepers in New Zealand and overseas enjoyed it, because there was some really interesting stuff going on there.
Yeah, I think so. The topic was about varroa resistant mites, and I thought it was an interesting day, and it was good to meet some old friends, and we even got to chat to our closest neighbours, didn't we, from Earthbound Honey?
Yeah, we've got some neighbours who are into honey production, and I personally buy their honey, and I love it. And, yeah, we're just hoping that we can get more of it in the next season. So, yeah, roll on the next honey production. But you do prefer Kiwimana honey, don't you? Oh, absolutely. No question. It's just that the problem this year, guys, is a lot of our hives were from swarms, so they didn't really. We left a lot of the honey on there over winter for them, so we didn't. But we'd rather they survive than we had honey in our tea, sort of thing. Yeah, I think that we made the decision early on that when the hives were still growing, that we would keep their honey on them. And it's actually proven through the last inspections that they are chomping through that honey right now. And we've reduced a couple of the hives only last week because they definitely have cleaned up the top boxes, and we've just rearranged the honey to the outside of the brood, is it?
Yep.
So they've got it handy, and we scored some of it so that they can, eat it. And it looks like there's some wax waste in the bottom of the hives on the inspection board. So that means that, as far as I can see, they're cleaning and eating the honey. And, removing the cappings.
Yeah, I think that's a good tip about scoring the honey, isn't it? Like you break the cappings off so that, because we got that tip from an old beekeeper called Rosemary, and she said the young bees haven't got the ability to actually open the cappings. So if you do that, you get the young bees can have some of the honey too.
Yeah,
which
that's
is a tip that we learnt, which is quite handy, eh?
Yeah, because the temperature is a lot cooler, the wax is a lot harder. So when the new brood comes out, they can't open the capping because it's just too hard. So that was one of the things that, we're very grateful that Rosemary shared with us.
Absolutely. And the next story we've got is from Peter Dearden from the University of Otago down in, are they Christchurch? I think they are. Because he was the guy that was on remember the animal behaviour documentary we saw a while back about bees? And he's saying that the varroa is a much larger problem in New Zealand than we anticipated. And he also had some views on CCD, which is interesting. He was saying that we actually have all the ingredients here for CCD, and he's surprised that we don't have it. And, he kind of suspects that we may get it in the future. So it would be great if people from the government would actually listen to their professors.
Yeah, I think that there is a real gap in government thinking in terms of bees and beekeeping. They're allowing, from what I understand, they're allowing these products into New Zealand which have been banned in other countries. So I don't know what that's all about.
Money, Margaret.
Yeah, maybe so, but it's almost, I don't know, it's quite shameful that they are allowing those things into New Zealand without actual proper thought. So we're hoping that some of the stuff that that Paul Bolger was talking about will be worked on. And Barry Foster from the MBA, he's the president of the MBA, was talking about, and we're talking about the National Beekeeping Association of New Zealand, that they are actually doing some studies into chemicals. So we'll keep an eye on that for you guys and let you know when everything relevant comes up with that. So I might be touching base with Barry and seeing how that's going.
Yeah, that'd be good. And speaking of government stupid decisions, the EPA in America have refused the beekeeper submission about the Kofianin, which is another neonicotinoid pesticide. So a group of beekeepers have lobbied the EPA to actually remove it from the shells, but they've rejected their claim, which we had a link on on the show notes here to the Organic View, who have a podcast with Tom Fairbairn. That was an interesting podcast, wasn't it, Margaret?
Yeah.
So check that out, guys.
What is the have you got that product or that thing that you're talking about? What was that about?
It's clothianidin. That's a neonicotinoid chemical.
Because Kofi Annan is a person, isn't it?
Yeah, he's the head of the UN. It's not him. He's okay. No, unless they're cutting him up and spraying him on crops. I think you need to edit that out, to be honest, because you did say Kofi Annan. Oh, I mean clothianidin.
Okay, I'll leave that with you to edit.
Yeah, that's fine. We'll leave it in there.
Well, what we're doing is going forward too is I just want to restate the fact of an integrated pest management program is really what we are recommending. We've had a look at scientificbeekeeping.com and we've listened to Randy Oliver when he came to New Zealand, and when he was talking about how their varroa situation has progressed over in America and how they saw us having to deal with the varroa resistance. And it's all coming to fruition. So I'm glad that last season we started treating on a regular basis. So for our Kiwi people, I think that we're hearing about people losing hives now. And I think that the reason we have only lost one hive is because we've been very proactive in our regular treatment. And I think that Kiwi beekeepers need to step up the game. And I think they need to treat every 3 months. And I don't think they should wait. And I think that following Mark Goodwin's advice and also Randy Oliver is go to organic treatments. Get oxalic acid, get thymol treatments and alternate them. And then maybe one treatment from a synthetic. So, because a lot of the varroas are resistant to the synthetic treatments, but if you just do a one short burst and then have the other regular treatments, I think that an integrated program will help better.
But using organic acids, the bees don't get the mites don't get resistant to them because it actually just kills the mites straight out. So they can't become resistant to something that kills them. So that's the beauty of organic acids. Yeah,
and I think that there are things that you need to consider when you're doing organic treatments, like the behaviour of the bees afterwards. So we've noticed that when we use the thymol treatments, that the bees do a lot of, they gather outside the front of the hive. They do a lot of flying and they do a lot of grooming. And wow, we had such a huge mite fall when we did our treatment before we were wintering down. So, yeah, alternate your treatments, guys. Do your inspections. Mostly treat regularly and retreat if unsuccessful with something else. And I think monitoring the bees, regularly, once a week, go in and check everything out. Even if it's external, but then do some internal inspection, see how far the brood are going. Some treatments are better done when the brood is not capped. So, bear all those things in mind, but regular and monitoring.
Yeah, I mean, have a listen to the Mark Goodwin speech on our podcast a couple of podcasts back, and have a listen. It's interesting. And we'll be having Michelle Taylor's ones coming out too this week too.
Yeah, that'll be good. She's a very interesting lady, and she had lots of really good stuff to talk about. And they've tried some ways to do it. The interesting thing is that if they get this genetic trait where the bees are opening up the cells, I think that that's a good trait for them to have. And then if they try and put in other traits as well and just try to breed that genetic line, I think that we have a good chance. But in reality, if you've got bees that are doing well against certain things, like we've got some of the hives that are really good at fighting the wasps, and then we've got other ones that are quite docile about it. So my thoughts are that we want to breed from the hives that have got good wasp management, because that's one of the risks that we have here where we live. Other things that happen, like this one hive that's got hardly any varroa, maybe it's a warning sign, I don't know, but we're gonna keep an eye on that hive.
Oh, that's Swanson, isn't it?
Yeah, Swanson 1 is the hive that we're monitoring. I also want to just, if it's okay, Gary.
Absolutely.
To talk about...
It's your show, Margaret.
My show? Yeah, okay. We really do recommend getting the mesh boards. The reason for having a mesh board as opposed to a solid board is that, the varroa, when they're busy walking around or on the bees, they actually can fall down. Now, when you've got a solid board, solid bottom board, the varroa can actually crawl around and get back up to where the bees are. And I think that the mesh board doesn't allow that to happen.
No, it doesn't.
And our Kiwimana mesh boards have got several ways of helping with the hive. It's ventilation.
They are fantastic, aren't they?
Yeah, Gary's designed a really good product there, and we've field tested it for 2 seasons. And
Well, probably 3 now, isn't it?
well, the most recent one is the one that we've got where Gary's designed it so that you can access the inspection boards from behind, and it's a great product that the actual inspection board sits underneath the mesh, which is a real treat because you can oil the inspection board and the bees don't get stuck on it. They don't need to walk on it, and everything falls through the mesh and onto the board, so you can actually get a really good indication of what's happening in the hive. The wax moth falls into there as well and can't get back up into the hive. The mites fall in there and can't get back up into the hive. From below, the inspection board also stops the wasps trying to attack the bees. There's all sorts of things that it's handy for.
And you can actually see how big the cluster is, can't you, without actually having to open the hives, because you can sort of see a shape of where they're all going.
Yeah, and I think that when I've done the treatments and then put the inspection boards back in, you can see where the cluster is, because that's where the most mite fall seems to be, in the centre. And unfortunately you can see where the wasps are, because they've been trying to get the bees right from the front of the hive. So those are the kind of things that I can now look at when we do this wasp guard that we've got. We can put in the inspection boards now and see whether we have less bee body parts over the next few weeks, and see how the wasp guard works for that. And I put it on Swanson 1. So yeah, it's been really interesting, and I really would recommend that you get mesh boards. And of course the Kiwimana mesh board is probably what we'd recommend the most, because we've been using it and we really feel it is really ideal for beekeepers.
Yeah, and we're sending one down to Picton tomorrow, aren't we? So that's going to be good.
Yeah, we've had good orders for that. We also do drone trapping with the Kiwimana drone management frame, and Gary's designed that so that you can see it. It stands out because he's put colouring on it so that it stands out from the other frame, so you know exactly which one it is. It's easy to remove the drones if that's your desire, but that's where the varroas love to grow because of the longer gestation period of the drone, so and a lot more to eat, really.
Yeah, and speaking of looking in the hives, that documentary was quite impressive, eh? What was it called? Bees...
Tales
from the Hive. They had a miniature camera inside a beehive, and they took all sorts of pictures of things like, the laying the eggs, cleaning out cells. It's actually on YouTube, but it's also, you can actually purchase it too from a link on our website, or you can get it from Amazon if you don't want to use our link. But you have a look.
Use our link, folks. Link.
Use our link. But yeah, I mean, it's fascinating. I'm thinking we should actually buy a proper copy so we could keep it in our library, because it's just really high res images.
Yeah, and the guy who's doing the narrating is Charles Winchester III from that old show called
MASH.
Yeah, MASH.
What's his real name? He's not really Charles Winchester, is he? David Stiers?
I'm sorry, I don't know.
I think it's David Stiers or Ogden or something.
Yeah, he was. He sounds really good, and the photography is just amazing on this this video or whatever, and buy it through our website. And it's something that the kids would love to see, really.
Oh, it's amazing. How do they reckon they got a camera on a wasp? That's amazing, isn't it? How they have it looks like he's dive bombing into the hive. I wonder if that was really have like a little camera, or they actually made it up. I don't know.
Yeah, I thought that some of the research they do these days is they stick, little things on top of the bees' backs and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah,
so it's amazing what they can do these days.
How do you get a camera on a bee's back? It's just incredible.
Anyway, they're doing it.
But, yeah, so
Obviously.
check it out. It's very impressive, and it's I don't know. I was amazed because you don't often see that, because that stuff happens when it's all dark in there, and you don't often see that stuff. So yeah, check that out.
Yeah. The other thing is too, if you want to have have a look or ask us about our products, you can contact me, and that's Margaret at kiwimana.co.nz.
And I'm Gary, and it's Gary at kiwimana.co.nz. And now from our crazy journalist stories, we had a story from England where a buzzing swarm of bees was attacking a florist shop. So that's a great place for a bee swarm to go, isn't it? A florist shop.
I think I saw that on the Bee Movie.
Oh, that's right. That was another great movie, but not as factually correct as Bees Tales from the Hive. Because I have never ever seen a car driving in a beehive. Unless they hide them when we're not there. I don't know.
Indeed.
But no, it also had another stupid thing which said that bees kill more people in England than Al Qaeda. So I mean,
yeah.
We
talked about that last month as well. That a lot of them.
But the journalists aren't listening to us, Margaret. They keep printing this crap.
A lot of the reporting that we mentioned last month was about that they sensationalise it, and that's how they get a response.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, that is the nature of reporting these days.
Yeah, but it makes people, fear bees, and they run away, and it's, I don't know. Anyway.
Yeah, I agree. I think that it is of concern, and we really want to make people more aware about bees and how they behave. And one of the things, the project that we're working on is about swarm control and swarm collection. So we're making a presentation to our local board, because here in Auckland we have...
Oh, is that you and Karen, isn't it?
Yeah, we're going to be making some presentations and offering up some... some swarm collection lists, and we're working with the Auckland Bee Club on that. We're also making preparations within the apiary for that. We need to make sure we've got enough hives to do our splits from, so we can make sure that we don't lose any hives.
We better do a stock take, eh?
Yeah, that's one of the projects that we'll be doing. So it's not only for ourselves, so our apiary doesn't split and we lose it, but also in terms of the local area. So we're hoping to provide council with a list that they can ring straight away, rather than having to negotiate the website and go through lots of different avenues. Rather, they can provide the public with a phone call and get an immediate response. So we're really looking forward to that. There's a lot of club members who are keen to be part of that, so we're really pleased. And as I said, there's also, people already asking to be a part of it, just to come along and observe and learn. So we're happy for that to happen for new beekeepers, so that we can maybe dispel a few myths about, the sensational thing about fear from swarms. So that'll be good.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it is, you certainly get everyone coming out of their houses when you walk up with a bee suit on, don't you?
Yeah, one of our experiences last season was with Swanson, and it was really nice, because these people who rang us to go and collect these swarms obviously do care about bees, and they took the trouble to ring and find someone to help them and save the bees. So when we get our honey flows on, we'll be organising some honey for those people from last year. So just to let them know how the bees are doing as well. So, just to say thank you, really.
Absolutely. And also thanks this week to one of our guest posts again was Frank Shawman, who wrote an article about blue plants and how good they are for winter. So that was a great article, and it was quite popular too. Yeah,
we got a really good response from that, and I think that's one of the things that it is important to have at this time of the year, to have plants that are going to be producing pollen and everything that the bees need while everything seems to be shut down.
And we went to a garden centre today, didn't we? And we saw some, what was it? Not lavender. Rosemary. Yeah, and the actual bees were on it. So that's another good way to find bee-friendly plants. On a sunny day, go to visit your local garden centre and see if there's bees on the plant. So, chances are though, if they like the plant, then your local bees will probably like it.
Yeah, I guess you're talking about herbs and that kind of thing, which the bees love, and it just adds to a varied diet. So, yeah, that's what we've done. We've picked up plants that we've seen at a garden centre where the bees are interested in, and we just provide them around the place for the bees to feed off if they want.
Absolutely. And have you already covered this about we went to the Franklin Bee Club, didn't we, to demonstrate our boards and...
Yep, and about we did sell a few Kiwimana mesh boards through that demonstration. I think it's really good because we were able to show them exactly why we did what we did and what the benefits are, and it really seems to be making the hives very healthy. So, if you want to have have a look at them, have a look at our website, and we've got some pictures on there from my treatments that I've done recently and using the mesh board, and also the drone management frames if you want to have a look into them. The Kiwimana mesh boards are $48 each, and the drone management frames are $9.50 each.
Or 18 for 2.
Indeed. Always a bonus.
Always a bonus. Well, have you got anything else to say, mate? Because we can probably go into the events coming up now.
I think just to the Kiwi beekeepers, my thoughts are this. Treat now, don't wait. Go organic at this point, and then treat again in 3 months. Or if you feel that the mite numbers aren't reducing enough, do a second treatment if unsuccessful. And I think monitoring is really key, especially at this time of the year. You might get wasps in New Zealand that are attacking the hives, so keep an eye on that. So yeah, my recommendations are at this time is to get your Kiwimana mesh boards, get your Kiwimana drone management frames, monitor your hives regularly, because we've got to gear up now for the bee season coming, and go organic.
Absolutely. Okay, well, events coming up. The first two have actually already gone past because that was on the 1st and the 5th of August, which is tonight, which probably by the time this comes out will be over, unfortunately. That was in the Wellington area and the Rotorua area. Yeah, we must go down to the Wellington one, won't we, Margaret, and have a look there. We'll visit there one day when we're visiting.
Yeah.
Coming up on the 8th of August, we've got a Beekeeping in the City, and it's Mount Eden Village by Paul Romley. So if you look on our website, you can get the link to that event. On the 8th of August as well, the Wanganui Bee Club are having a monthly meeting, so that should be good if you're around the area. Get out there. On the 12th of August, we have the Franklin Bee Club, so that's always a good time. And a little bird's told me on the 11th of August, we've got the Auckland Bee Club, but they haven't actually updated their website at this stage. So we'll have to get them to do that. And coming up on the 20 to the 24th of August is the Bee Week.
That's it.
National Bee Week coming up. Yep. So look out for local events for that. And on the 22nd of August, Kim from the Bee Club, she is running a introduction to beekeeping. So have a look at that. I'm not sure if the space is still available, but if you're a beginning beekeeper, it might be a good place to get along to.
I think in line with that, my thoughts is that if you are, having a look at beekeeping, there's some really good field days that you can go and attend with any local club, and they can take you through, beekeeping stuff, because there's so much to do, but you can have a go and see how you feel and, get some information if you're thinking about it, and, go and get a hands-on bird's eye view of everything. And yeah, I'd really recommend it. You don't have to join the club if you don't want to, but go along and pick their brains, go and do a field day with them and do some, hands-on work and see how you feel. So we encourage people to take up beekeeping no matter where you live.
Absolutely. And on the 23rd of August, we've got the Manawatu Bee Club. And they're quite close to Palmerston North, aren't they? So that's another thing we'd love to have to go and visit them one day and see how they do things.
Yeah, we've heard really good things about that club.
And on the 25th of August, we've got a beginners beekeepers in Kaitikaka, is it? Wait a minute. Which is not.
That's south in Katikati.
Katikati. Oh, okay.
In Katikati, yeah, they're doing beekeeping for beginners. That's a course that they're running. That's fantastic.
That's not far from Waihi. So
well, that's good.
Get down there.
Yeah, I think it's it's the calm before the storm really this time of the year in New Zealand. Our beekeeping is sort of building up right now, so that's why I say get all your gear checked out. If you want to split hives, make sure you've got other hives. Make sure you've got all your treatments all ready to go. Make sure that you've got enough foundation if you're doing foundation into your frames. Make sure that you've got all your gear ready, and this is the time to do it, guys. Preparation.
Absolutely. And this month we've actually introduced a new feature or new area at the end of the podcast called Song of the Month. And we're going to look for Kiwi bands that need to get them songs out there. So if you've got a band and you want to get a song on the podcast, drop us a line. But this month we couldn't actually find one at the moment, but we've got some people in the progress of getting that happening. But this month we've got a song from Adriana Trope from California, and the song is called Fly, 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 which is, kind of bee related, isn't it, Margaret?
Yeah, I reckon. Anyway, that'll be fading out on the end of our podcast. So thank you very much for letting us put that out there. And yeah, any Kiwi guys in a band, got
or
some
girls,
guys or girls. Yeah, anybody who is a Kiwi band who wants to be considered for this, just get in touch with us at info@kiwimana.co.nz or Gary at kiwimana.co.nz or Margaret at kiwimana.co.nz. So, yeah, I think that's it for me. And thanks for listening, guys. And, we'll look forward to next month.
Absolutely. And here's Adriana. So, have a good month, guys, and we'll talk to you next month. Bye.
Bye.
Like I can fly, 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 nothing seems to matter. inside me. Fly